You're live.
Thank you. First off, we'd like to welcome our new PrAC chairperson, Mr. G. Coe Ross from Paducah Independent Schools. We want to extend our gratitude to Mr. Ross for assuming this position. We're all thrilled that this is his first meeting, first of many meetings, and we're excited to get started. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Ross.
Thank you so much, Ms. Noah. I appreciate the kind words and warm welcome. Just a reminder to our PrAC members, please enable your video for the entirety of the meeting. We want to make sure that everyone is engaged, and we definitely understand the whirlwind of the job as a school sitting principal, and that many of us are actually probably in our offices at the schoolhouse. But if we could just dedicate these moments to be focused on the work for all of Kentucky principals, we want to definitely capture that voice while we're here. Dr. Fletcher is not able to meet with us today. He is actually in legislative sessions, but we have the great privilege to have our Deputy Commissioner, Dr. Thomas Woods Tucker, here with us today to bring a welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ross, Principal Ross, and always a huge thank you to Stacy for allowing me to come and share a few comments with you all. But before I situate myself to share a few comments with you, I want to express my gratitude. I want to take a moment to express my deep gratitude that I have for you all and the work that you put in each day. That work and that dedication shows up. As Principal Ross said, many of you are in your office and you're just waiting for the next celebration or the next thing that you need to take care of. So again, your dedication to your school, your students, greatly appreciated. I wanted to make sure I shared that on behalf of the commissioner and the entire Kentucky Department of Education. And then the last thing, Mr. Ross, now I'm waiting for another invitation from you now or your superintendent to come back and visit Paducah. I really enjoyed the last time I was there. So Stacy, we'll go ahead. Thank you for driving the slides. And folks, I'm going to be very brief on these slides here. Mr. Ross and Stacy will make sure that you have access to them because Stacy knows I'm from Arkansas and she's only going to give me 7 minutes to speak, which may turn into 8 or 9. So I'm going to be very brief here. So let's go with the first slide. So the Kentucky United We Learn Council recently discussed the high school transformation work. This was during their January 23rd Kentucky United We Learn Council meeting, and the members talked about the progress that we're making with assessment and accountability reform and the efforts to reimagine the high school experience in Kentucky. We're fortunate that the National Association of State Boards of Education invited the Kentucky Board of Education to participate in its high school transformation state network, which builds the capacity of state boards to enable rich student experiences that foster content, mastery, and durable skills. And this was a fantastic honor because only a few states, I think about 8 state departments of education were invited for this honor. Now, you can read more about this at the Kentucky United We Learn Council meeting on Kentucky Teacher. Next slide, please. Results of the 2025-2026 Impact Kentucky Survey show continued positivity towards our profession. And it's the positivity that we're really looking for. So when you look at our great profession, it continues to rise, at least among Kentucky educators. According to the 2025-2026 Impact Kentucky Working Conditions Survey, educators responded 80% favorably to questions about staff leadership, relationships, which was 2% higher than the previous report. A total of 76% of educators said they felt like they belonged at their school, which was also an increase of 2% from the previous year. The full report and results can be viewed on the Impact Kentucky website. at our main landing page. Next slide, please. Applications are open for non-voting KBE student and teacher members. We really need your support with this. They are being accepted to sit on our board as the Kentucky Board of Education is non-voting members. And so please encourage your teachers and encourage your students to think about this one-year appointment. It runs from July 1st, 2026 to June 30th, 2027. Required materials for the teacher application include the KBE non-voting teacher application, resume, narrative statement explaining why the applicant wants to serve as a non-voting teacher member of the board, a statement of assurance that the applicant meets the definition of a teacher as defined in 701 KAR 5:160, and a description of any pending or final disciplinary action against the applicant by the EPSB. Next slide, please. Applications are open for the non-voting student member to sit right alongside the non-voting teacher and the board member. It has been a tremendous honor the last 6 years to work with the previous student members. It really showcases the work that you all put in each day to really support our students, and the students have really represented Kentucky extremely well. As a matter of fact, our current member on the board, the member prior, I should say, was nominated for a National Student Award, and this was a very prestigious award that makes Kentucky look really great in the eyes of public education. And we do that anyway, but it was a wonderful honor, and it speaks to the work that you all do with our teachers each year. Required materials for the student application include the online KBE non-voting student application, resume, narrative statement explaining why the applicant wants to serve as a non-voting student member of the board, 2 letters of recommendation, strong letters from principals, a parent statement of support, and an optional school statement of support. And you can reach out to Dr. Gliptis and Grider Jones for additional information. Next slide, please. And some of you probably have seen these videos here. The Kentucky Department of Education recently unveiled new video series highlighting local assessment and accountability work that's happening in your districts, in your schools every day. So I'm really excited about those. The videos document the work done by KDE, the Kentucky United We Learn Council, and districts across the Commonwealth to explore new ways of incorporating vibrant learning experiences into the classroom while emphasizing collaboration with the community and innovation on how we approach assessment. So wonderful exemplars of great work happening along the lines of assessment and accountability. And you can go to KDE's YouTube page to see some of these exemplars. Next page, please. Now, this is one of my favorite councils here, and that's the high school students for the 2026 Commissioner Student Advisory Council. I participate in that council, and I get to see students across the Commonwealth, and they represent your districts extremely well. Public school students who are currently freshmen, sophomores, or juniors in high school are invited to apply for positions for the 26-27 next school year on the Commissioner Student Advisory Council. The group meets with the Commissioner and KDE staff to discuss how decisions made at the state level are affecting students throughout Kentucky. And the application deadline is 11:59. Don't forget that, 11:59 p.m. Central Time on April 6th. Next slide, please. Huge honor, another wonderful honor. Keith, I told you we're going to have some really great updates today. Spencer County's Michelle Gross was named the 2026 National Teacher of the Year finalist. There are only 5 left in this final round. In fact, Michelle is actually in DC right now during her interview. And think about this, folks. Think about this. Kentucky has 1 of 5 finalists. There are approximately 2.8 million public school teachers in America, and we have 1 of the finalists. So give yourselves a round of applause. Right? Okay, moving on. Next slide. KDE is accepting applications for the School Counselor Advisory Council. That is one of my favorite councils as well, not just because I get to participate and bring welcome messages each month, but it's a wonderful recognition for our school counselors and the work that they do each and every day. This advisory group plays a critical role in informing statewide school counseling initiatives, policies, and guidance by elevating the voices and expertise of practitioners from across the Commonwealth. The application, which is due by April 15th, can be completed through the School Council Advisory Council application form. And Dr. Michelle Searcy heads up that group for us, and she does a tremendous job. Well, Stacy, I think I've done it in about 6 minutes. What do you think?
Yes, thank you so much. Perfect timing.
Okay, now, if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or drop them in the chat. I will be on for a little while longer before I head to the Kentucky's Educator Rising conference here in Louisville here in a few minutes.
Thank you so much, Dr. Woods Tucker. I always appreciate your enthusiasm and charisma as you share the great things that are happening around the Commonwealth. At this time, we will roll into our roll call. PrAC members, please be reminded that we will need you to come off of mute and actually do an audible response for our attendance purposes. Lynn Petrie.
I'm here.
All right. Peggy Sinclair. Morris.
I'm here.
Liz Kirk.
I'm present.
Jeff Blythe. Sarah Williams.
Present.
Tim Klein. Amanda Noak. Amanda Fields.
Present.
Martina Skidmore. Heather Roden.
Present.
Mr. Shower could not be with us. He had a family medical emergency, so we're going to keep him in our thoughts. Jeremy Kidd. Jamaica Howard.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Oh, yes.
Sorry,
that-
little microphone issues. Yeah, Jeremy Kidd.
Glad to have you.
Jamaica's here.
Wonderful. Ginger Estes.
Present.
James Hood.
Here.
Bonnie Spears. Josh Henderson.
Present.
Nikki Gerhart.
Present.
Beth St. Bernard.
Present.
Jaziel Guerra. I think we have our roll call. Thank you all so much. At this time, we'll move on to our principal prep representation. We appreciate always hearing from you all and your presence here. I believe Dr. Sullivan is going to be filling in for our normal attendees as they had conflicts. Dr. Sullivan, are you?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, you have the floor.
Okay. And we have 3 books that we were going to highlight that have been a collaborative effort of ed admin programs across the state. and these have been used in a lot of our principal prep programs. The first one is called School Improvement. Let the PECL standards work for you. And so that's been a wonderful way to introduce the PECL standards in a real, live, authentic way with our aspiring principals. The next one was Service in the Trenches, and that is true stories of servant leadership by um, principals in the field. I guess I can put these where you can see them. There's that one. Sorry. And here is the first one. Let the PECL standards work for you. And then the last one that we have done is school safety. And of course, we know how important that is for our leaders. And again, there are true stories in here. And of course, they're not all happy stories. But all of these books present scenarios and real life situations that have happened in schools or with our school leaders. And then we present questions for discussion on how you would deal with those situations. So that's what I was asked to share today, are those three books. And we're very proud of those and think they're making a positive impact on our aspiring principals.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sullivan, for sharing. Always great to see the literature that's out, and I particularly appreciate the capturing of narratives of sitting principals. You know, I'm sure at some point we've all said, you know, I really should write that book. I need to write that down, and I'd be a millionaire and could retire and all the things. So that's cool that you all were able to capture that. Excellent work. Thank you.
Thank you for letting us share.
At this time, we'll move on to our agenda approval. PrAC members, if we will comply, we're going to actually use the voting feature within the chat. So if you don't have your chat open, if you could do that. I will need just a motion, however, to approve the agenda. If you'll come off of mute, state your name.
This is Ginger Estes, and I make the motion.
Motion's been made. Is there a second?
This is James Hood, and I'll make a second.
Motion's been made and properly second. Any questions? All in favor, please use the chat to submit your vote. Any opposed? I believe we have approval. All right, we'll move on to our summary of our last meeting's minutes. Hopefully everyone had an opportunity to kind of look through these. There is a link in the chat for your review. Give us a few moments to review those, and at any point that you're ready, I'll entertain a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting.
This is Sarah Williams. I make a motion to approve the last meeting minutes.
Is there a second?
Josh Henderson, second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any questions? Again, all in favor, please use the chat to submit your votes. All right, we have approval. Thank you all so much. At this time, we will hear about resources for, no, we will not. I don't know where we are. Let me get to. Resources for implementing the Kentucky Academic Standards for Visual and Performing Arts by Jessica Green from the Office of Teaching and Learning from KDE.
Thank you so much, Principal Ross. Thank you for allowing me the space to have a conversation about implementation resources for visual and performing arts. The most recent standards for visual and performing arts were adopted in 2024, and so that rolls us into those implementation resources. So I'm excited to share those, and thank you, Stacy, for supporting the slides for me. If you could go to the next slide, please. So our focus for all of these resources are to support educators in high quality, standards aligned, vibrant, and engaging learning experiences. And much like Dr. Woods Tucker, I have that same excitement about specifically vibrant student experiences, especially the arts being such a hands-on integral piece to the education puzzle. I will say the photos that you see on the slide are from a field study we did with one of the resources I'll share today, and I can't wait to highlight these 2 districts that participated. Next slide, please. So the first place where these resources live are kystandards.org. And anytime I'm in the field presenting with teachers, I encourage them first to sign up for our standards newsletter. As principals, I know you have a million hats and you're sending out information as quickly as you can. But if your teachers are signed up for the standards newsletter, that's their direct line to new resources for all content areas, including visual and performing arts. So I always encourage teachers to go there first as they explore kystandards.org. So kystandards.org has professional learning resources that are meant for the school-based level, if you were to be leading those resources. And so the first thing is the at a glance document. As a former administrator, this was created through the lens of you don't have time to read the entire CAS document. So it's a one-pager front and back of the highlights of the changes to the Kentucky Academic Standards for Visual and Performing Arts. The next link there, and you'll have access to all of these links, the course code standards documents. All of the courses currently recognized in Kentucky that count for the visual and performing arts credits are updated on that document with all of the standards that they align with. And so that is very helpful as you're rolling into thinking about next semester, next year. So that is there for you as well. We also have the full CAS document, which is now, as I like to say, hyperlinked within an inch of its life. Teachers have a higher usability index for that document now. They can go directly to the area they teach and the grade band they teach. And so that is a very helpful document. In addition to that, we have the digital CAS. This is through Satchel Commons, and the digital CAS has always existed, but it was meant more as a tool to support Infinite Campus, to load in for standards-based grading. We have now made that available for public use. The best feature on that for teachers would be downloading an Excel spreadsheet of all the standards they need, almost as a checkpoint. And so we have made that available for public use, starting with VPA. You'll see reading and writing starting to push that out as well. So those are all available specifically for support of the CAS document. Okay, next slide, please. I'm moving quickly because there's one resource I really want to talk about. The family guides have existed. They include all of the content areas. However, they did not include visual and performing arts. And so our new family guides now include visual and performing arts. So what students should be learning at each grade level in all 5 areas of the arts. That's dance, media arts, music, theater, and visual arts. At the high school level, it does split into the 3 proficiency levels. So proficient, accomplished, and advanced. So that is a wonderful resource, as always, still available in Spanish as well. The other addition to the family guides this time around, reading and writing has also been updated to include the language from Science of Reading and to align with their newly revised standards. So those are 2 huge elements of the family guides that are now updated for use. And so I've been really pushing that for arts educators to understand what parents are now, families are going to be expecting their children to learn in the arts in their classroom. Next slide, please. The next thing is our Kentucky Learning Hub. This is our new professional learning management site, PLMS. And so I mentioned that kystandards.org is the school-based learning. KY Learning Hub is self-paced. So it's a Canvas course essentially. And you're going to start to see a lot of those resources move over to the Learning Hub, but also live on kystandards.org. So you're going to have two different versions of the same resource, meaning it is guided towards the audience and the view that they need of that resource. An example of that is our Getting to Know the CAST modules. Again, VPA was just adopted in 2024. So we now have a self-paced Canvas course on KY Learning Hub of the same course that's available on KY Standards as a school-based learning. And so you'll start to see a lot of migration to the hub for professional learning across the KDE. So that is there and available, and it's a wonderful opportunity for teachers to move at their own pace. The slide decks are available with all of my notes if I were presenting it at the school level or district level. And so it's just another great resource. I encourage you to explore the KY Learning Hub if you have not already. And the next slide, please. This is the one I've been waiting to talk about. The interactive resource is basically the HQIR aspects for the arts. We know that HQIRs have not been adopted for visual and performing arts, so we created a resource that has those elements. So this is a teacher notes document that has a script, essentially, student-based language, pedagogy, discussion techniques, engagement techniques, and every resource that is needed to implement the learning experience. We started with the responding standards based on student feedback. They felt they had not received as much exposure to the responding standards. They had performed and they had created a whole lot, but did not feel like they had an authentic opportunity to respond to the arts. And so it also comes with an implementation PowerPoint. Teachers have very little time, so we went ahead and created the PowerPoint to project for students as well. And then it has companion videos. The discipline experts that we brought in to revise the lessons that I wrote created videos of each section of what it looks like to implement each section in a real classroom with their own students. And so it's a very, very tangible example of what the standards look like in action. Next slide, please. Stacy, I don't know if we have the time, but this is a video example of what that looks like. So I would encourage you to look through that. It's still me talking on some of the video, but it is a nice way to understand what each of these pieces of the resource entail. And the next slide. I promised to talk about the field study. Special thanks to Woodford County and to Madison County for allowing me to come to their schools, Glen Marshall Elementary and Northern Elementary, to implement the music interactive resource. And you can see from the pictures, my favorite one is that bottom left. There are two little boys playing rock, paper, scissors. They're fighting over which character they're going to portray with their instruments. And they did it in a very diplomatic way. I really appreciated their work on that. But you see students working with the graphic organizer that comes with that interactive resource to assign instruments to familiar stories. This is also aligned with CKLA, which is an HQIR for reading and writing. And so we chose Goldilocks and the Three Bears, a familiar story, because students are analyzing now the character and the sound of the characters. And so Papa Bear would be a big bass drum, while Goldilocks would be a triangle. And they had some really authentic conversation about why they chose the instrument and the rhythm that that character would have. And so on the slide, you'll see some feedback from the teachers who implemented this as part of the field study and how it increased engagement and allowed them as expert teachers to think about responding to the arts in a new way. And so this resource is available for all 5 arts disciplines. And we are about to launch the second one, which is a middle school example in all 5 arts disciplines as well. And so we wanted to just support our arts teachers with those HQIR aspects that we are all learning to really embrace and to see those results, those positive results for all students. Next slide, please. Also, when you receive these slides, this is the quick guide with the link to all of the sites that I've mentioned today. There are also some external resources within those slides that would be helpful to teachers as well. And the next slide is any questions that you may have. All right. And as always, you can reach out via email. I would be glad to have some conversations about the great work your teachers are doing. And if you have a teacher that you think should be implementing these as part of my next field study, I would love to take those suggestions as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Green. And I think I can speak for majority of principals when we talk about the related arts at times, they have that difficulty finding those resources. So being able to have a one-stop shop kind of place that we can point them in that direction is very helpful. Sometimes I feel like they feel left out, particularly as we have been talking about the HQIR so heavily in reading and math and some of the core content areas. This is very helpful. So thank you so much for your work.
You're very welcome. Thank you all so much.
We'll continue with our agenda and have an assessment update from the Office of Assessment and Accountability, Office of KDE, with Shara Savage.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come and give you some updates. So I'll get right started. If you could go to the next slide, please. I want to just give you a very brief update on House Bill 257. It has moved into the Senate. They are looking at it and having discussions, and I believe Dr. Fleischer has been a part of those discussions as well. So we will continue to keep you updated on that bill as it moves through and as it changes. The common theme that seems to be sticking is incentive for a local accountability piece. What that'll look like, is still to be determined. And removing change and replacing it with a growth model. So exciting things happening over there, and we will keep you updated as it moves along. Next slide, please. So we'll move into assessment updates. Testing preparations are well underway. And so I have a few updates on activities that are taking place and those that have taken place. So access and alternate access is my first update, and the testing for that has concluded that test window. At this time, the focus has shifted to preparing for the data validation activities that are now taking place this month. The AKSA, the alternate Kentucky Summative Assessment, that makeup window is now still going on, and that will conclude this month. So the makeup window for test window 1 will close on March the 20th. And then looking ahead, test window 2 for the AKSA will open on April the 14th and run through May 22nd. The TAR is also is still going, and it will conclude on May 22nd as well. Staff is continuing to make preparations to share districts are ready for the operational testing window, that test window 2 for AKSA. A brief update on K-Screen. The materials ordering window is currently open. Districts can place their orders for screening materials now, and the ordering window will close on April the 3rd. So for KSA, they are also busy preparing districts and testing staff for that testing window as well. All of the administration scripts and the TAM have been posted to the Kentucky portal. Their first office hour for KSA for districts will take place on March the 25th, providing an opportunity for coordinators and testing staff to ask questions and receive additional guidance ahead of that testing window. Next slide, please. So the SAT, I wanted to give you a little more in depth because this has been a big shift. Has been a shift for our Commonwealth and our testing staff. So just a little training recap. In November, KDE partnered with College Board, and we offered 8 in-person test administration trainings across the Commonwealth with 487 educators participating statewide. To provide continued support, we have so far held 4 office hours. Topics included school setup and requesting accommodations, English learner supports, and navigating the state data management system and the test day toolkit. We had more than 325 educators to participate in those office hours. So everything that we have provided has been really well attended. We also, College Board, we partnered with them, and they hosted an accommodations webinar in November, and we had 480 participants to attend that webinar as well. In this month, or in February, we had our February DAC trainings. Those videos and deck slides were released, and College Board was a part of those trainings as well. And they were able to come to our live Q&A sessions and help support districts in all questions and any lingering steps that districts would need to take that they were unsure of. So all of these efforts have focused on ensuring districts feel prepared and supported throughout the SAT administration process. Next slide, please. So the systems that are open now, first, the state data, the SDMS is open. District testing staff are currently using the system to verify student rosters, confirm accommodations for students who need them, and process student transfers that happens between districts when that's necessary. The test day toolkit is also open. This system allows coordinators to set up testing staff and organize their testing sessions for administration. Testing staff can also, if you haven't tested yet and you're still preparing for testing, and you're preparing those your students, you can print those test tickets from the test aid toolkit, which students can use to access the 7 SAT practice tests that are available to the students for free. Those same tickets will allow students to complete the readiness check, and this can be done 1 or 2 weeks before testing. So if you haven't tested and you're still preparing, you still have time. Next slide, please. So here are just some tools and resources, but the one that I want to really bring to your attention is that schoolhouse.world that launched, that College Board launched. And it's it's a free peer-to-peer tutoring option that prepares students for the SAT. So that's a wonderful resource, and we are so glad to have that free resource for our students. Next slide, please. So upcoming, KDE and in partnership with the College Board, we will host an additional office hour in this month, March, and in April. These sessions will cover topics related to administration to provide opportunities for testing staff to get in their final questions, make sure that they're understanding all the pieces to administer the test, and then those scores, and the SAT scores and the reports that come with that after the test has concluded. So overall, preparations have went well, and they've been well attended, as I said earlier. And Kentucky is ready for a successful SAT administration. So just to give you an update, so far we've had over 5,000 as of yesterday evening. So I'm sure there is lots of good testing going on as we speak. But as of yesterday evening, we had over 5,000 tests that had been completed. So we are well pleased with the progress so far. So with that, that concludes my presentation. So do we have any questions? You can always email me after the fact if you have any. Yeah.
Thank you so much for that KSA update. I know there's been quite the conversation about the SAT transition, so it's reassuring to hear that we are ready for the administration. So great stuff.
Thank you.
We'll be moving on to our Impact Kentucky Working Conditions Survey tool. This is something that they've been kind of working through. Now that we've got the data, what do we do with it? So excited to share a little bit of information with a tool that's been created. I don't believe Ms. Satterley is going to be able to join us, but I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Noah, and she's going to kind of update us on this tool.
Thank you so much. And just give me a little grace here. Emily had an unexpected family emergency this morning, so I'm stepping in. Probably, certainly won't do it as well as she had planned out, but here we go. All right, let me get a drink. So Dr. Woods-Tucker already alluded to the positive responses for Impact Kentucky. Just want to reiterate some of that information. We did have an 84% rate, so that's over 40,000 people responded. And the results are trending upward, so definitely a positive. We do want to look at the statewide results by topic. And I wanted to make sure that everyone knew how to access information about the survey. So if you want to go ahead and click on the link, it'll take you to the Go Teach Kentucky website, and it's going to give you lots of information about the Impact Kentucky survey, kind of the who, the what, the when, the where, the why type thing. But go ahead and open that up just so that you have a moment to review. And as you are reviewing the information on that website, I just want to point out the topics that are embedded in the Impact Kentucky survey. You'll notice here we've got staff leadership and relationships. Statewide, we had an increase of 2 percentage points. Educating all students, an increase of 4 percentage points. School leadership was up 3 percentage points. Managing student behavior as well, trending upward. Then we have professional learning upward, feedback and coaching up 3 percentage points, emotional well-being and belonging up 4, and then resources up 1. So that was, of course, statewide data. We want to dig into each principal's school data. So at this time, I'd like to ask you to go to the impactky.org website and locate your school information. Okay, so when you do that, if you could just use the reaction button, let me know that you're good. You've got your data pulled up, because we're going to ask you to work with this tool, this draft tool that the P3 team has created, to get your feedback on how it works for you, how beneficial it is, what might need to be edited, modified to make it more meaningful, more useful. But step one in this is to access your local school data. And I see some thumbs up coming up. Thank you all. So just as soon as you get it open, let me know. All right, I see the reaction buttons, thumbs up. Yes, thank you all. Perfect. All right, so the power of the Impact Kentucky survey comes whenever you dig into the results from your own school. We have drafted a tool to assist school leaders as they analyze school results and would like to get your feedback before sharing the tool out on a larger scale. The tool is developed for you to personalize. We want it to fit your needs. We've got a link to the tool, and that is, I'm sure Keith's going to drop that in the chat for us. It's also on the slide deck that I sent out. And you'll notice whenever you click on this Impact Kentucky analysis tool, it's going to force you to make a copy. And that was intentional. We want you to make a copy for yourself. That way you'll be able to manipulate it a little. You can change the questions if you'd like. You can decide which part of the tool that works best for you in your school. Maybe you want to use it with your school leadership team. But what we want to do is solicit your feedback and input on how to improve the tool after you've had a chance to try it out. So we're going to give about 20 minutes. Probably won't need all of that time, and you all let me know, of course, and we'll cut down the time. But I'm going to give you some uninterrupted, quiet time to look at the tool and use the tool with your own data that you've opened up. Okay? Anybody having issues opening the tool or accessing data? We're all good. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start the timer here. And like I said, we've got 20 minutes allocated, but if you don't need that much time, I'll kind of stop midway and check and see where we are. But at this time, it's just you working with your school data using that Impact KY analysis tool with the goal of giving us feedback on how it worked. Okay, just feel free to work away. So we have about 3 minutes remaining. Are we good to move on? Have you all had enough time to look at your data and work with the tool, or do we want to keep working? Feel free to just unmute and let me know your thoughts. 3 more minutes? Yes, okay. All right, I'll be quiet. So our allocated time has expired. If you didn't get to all of the sections of the tool, that's totally okay. We did want you to just have some time to work with it, see what you thought about it, and we wanted it to be as real as possible. That's why we asked you to access your own school data, because now we're going to engage in some conversation. During this breakout room time, we've got some guiding questions for you, and you can see those on the slide. But more importantly, we've got a link to the breakout room discussion note catcher. What we're going to do is we're going to have 4 breakout rooms, and we're going to give you 10 minutes of talk time. And depending on which breakout room that you get assigned to, that's where you're going to be capturing your notes, your feedback about the tool that you worked with. So if you are assigned to breakout room number 2, you'll notice in the note catcher, there is a section for room 2. So we'll just want you to respond in that section that correlates with your group assignment. We will be doing this in the breakout room setting. However, if you're invited to breakout room 1, you're going to remain in the main room, and that will be the room that is still captured, the conversation such as captured live, that's going to be broadcast. So just wanted to point that out and ask you to
Stacy,
keep that in mind.
can we make sure we're on the same page on that? I created 3 rooms.
Yes.
plus the main room. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, we've got a
Okay.
total of 4
So-
spaces.
So there are, the ones that are going to stay in the main room will be unassigned.
Okay, perfect. Gotcha. So you will, yeah, so don't be looking for an invite to join the room. If you are staying in the main room, you'll just be right here. You won't have an invite. Everybody else who will be going to the other 3 rooms, you will have an invite. Okay, so we'll have 10 minutes. I want you to add notes to the note catcher. And let's see. All right, we are ready to go. So, and then whenever you come back out, if you could make sure that one person is designated to give just a quick overview of the discussion in the breakout room.
All right. You ready, Stacey?
Yes.
All right. So I think everybody has been moved to their breakout room. If you're here, you're in the main room breakout room space. And I think Principal Ross is going to lead this section. Is that right?
I can.
Stacey, I thought that's what you said.
Yeah.
I think everybody's
Okay.
where they're supposed to be. You guys take it back over. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right. Well, let's get to it. First, any initial thoughts about the tool that anyone would like to share?
And it might be good for one person in the room to be like the designated note catcher typer. So when you open up that doc, you should be able to type directly into it and do the responses. So maybe if you facilitate, Mr. Ross, and somebody else captures the discussion, would anybody in the room be willing to type into the doc for the group? Let's see.
My view
In
is
terms of principals, I just see, well, I see Liz, Lynn, and you. Are there, so there's 3 of you? I'm missing somebody?
that's what I was trying. My view, I can't see.
Yeah, I know it's difficult.
Is there anyone that would like to take on the note catching? Otherwise, we can just do it as we're talking.
I don't care to do it.
Okay, great. I think that's Liz. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, any initial thoughts? I guess we can just go through the questions, but I did want to give, if anyone had anything just stuck out to them, the opportunity to say. Right, hearing none. The first question is the time needed to complete the analysis tool reasonable for individual school leaders and or leadership teams. I think that the time was pretty reasonable. Of course, you could always delve in a little more, particularly, if you haven't looked at the document before. But knowing how quickly things move, I think that was an adequate amount of time. Does anyone else have any thoughts there?
And Mr. Ross, I also, I didn't see that Dr. Sullivan, Stephanie Sullivan from Murray State, she's in the room with us too. So.
Oh, lovely.
And she even put a note already in the chat about perhaps adding a column comparing to district. Thought that was a good suggestion.
I also, as we're talking about that, I thought about the opportunities for some longitudinal uh, discussions within the tool. On the online version, it tells you kind of the change factor, but maybe that could be something that's added to the tool itself as well as a way for individuals to kind of look at that data to determine if we're going in the right direction or we need to make some adjustments.
I agree. I think that would be very important to add. I did like the column that says rate your level of influence, because that really lets you start to prioritize a little more. What are things you personally can start moving and making positive change that
And also as you look at just change theory, there will be times when some of our ratings will decrease because of the struggles or pains of change. And so as you look at it, if you know that there's initiatives that you've engaged in that may have precipitated that lower rating or a series of lower ratings, you can speak to that. And I think that's important for school leaders to think about on years where you've had to implement maybe some drastic change, that, hey, if you see some negative dips on some of these, it's actually a positive to your maybe your leadership, in that, if you're not seeing some discomfort, you're probably not getting the job done effectively in some regards. Did anyone feel that the format needed to change? I like personally how simple it is. It's not a bunch of extra fluff. Sometimes we can get real flowery in education, but it seemed simple enough to follow.
I think these are some great questions that are posed throughout. And, I can see how these are great for principal and self-reflection, but also great questions if you have a leadership team and you want to have some honest discussion about where priorities need to be. These would be great things for the leadership team to work through with the stuff.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. I could see this as a means to definitely have some conversations, um, even with the PPGES framework, as you're, reflecting on your own practices and developing your uh, professional growth plan, using this as a tool or evidence to support your efforts there. I think showing this to staff wouldn't be a bad idea either, to show that, hey, I hear you. That survey wasn't just something else to do, but I use it. It informs my practice as a principal. Now that you've shared these things, this is what I'm doing as an action plan to address these things. I think that would bring a little bit more credibility to the survey and possibly increase participation in the future. Any ideas on improving the tool to meet the primary needs of principals and other leaders or leadership team members?
The only thing I thought about is adding the district percentages. I think it's important that you know where you stand, not just with the state, but also your district, especially if you're a large district like Fayette County. So I would just add a column, again, just looking at that structure so that I would have the state and the district. Those numbers are easy to pull anyway. And so it would just give you a one-stop shop for all that information.
Agreed.
All right, we got 1 minute left. You all want to hit that last question there? The communication channel, that one we're especially interested in. How might we share this tool so that people know about it? A lot of times we have different things and we're promoting it in our regular ways, avenues. But do you have any thoughts on how we might be able to promote the tool so that people are aware of it?
I would target just schools individually, like a pilot group, to really, hone in and get some feedback before you go, statewide, just so you can, make the changes you need to before everybody sees it and really starts hitting you with a lot of feedback.
Right, right.
And I think if it's tied to something that would help with getting some traction behind it, if people can see the value of the tool within evaluations or development of your school improvement plan or something to where it's like a connection there to it versus it just being a tool that's just out there to use.
Yes, yeah, great point. And we were trying to hook folks, make a connection with the inclusion of those PSEL standards and how that we connected the questions to the individual PSEL standards, recognizing that those are just like the primary connections. You could probably make a case for a lot of other connections as well. But we were thinking, if school leaders could see the connection to their own standards and maybe the development of their own professional growth plan, or how that they might be able to use some of these questions and the data points from year to year as evidence when they're having like a summative conference with their evaluator. Recognizing that, you know, we all have to do that. That's required every year. So those were that's the thinking behind the inclusion of that P cell, because that was just something that we did the alignment on. And that's something too, you know, if you look at that and you think, I don't know about that alignment, we'd love to hear that feedback from you all as well. But our time is up. So, Liz, you got notes? We're good? All right. And somebody will share out just a quick takeaway from our conversation. So Keith, we're ready. Go ahead and close the rooms.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so welcome back. I hope that 10 minutes was enough to at least get that conversation started. And if you did not get through all of the note catcher questions, you can feel free to add to that at your convenience. But I'm looking for, we'll just start with a volunteer here. If you were the person that was going to share out from your room, if you could just give us a quick summary of some of the primary considerations that you all discussed, that would be great. So whoever would like to begin, just feel free to unmute.
I can go first. We typed in room 4, but our screen said room 1. So whichever number you want to give to us. We really found the tool to be helpful. Some general feedback though. The blue headings on the data sheets were not in the same order as the screen on the website. And so it took us a little bit extra time to shift back and through, you know, flip through different categories to get our data, which made it a little bit cumbersome. And then we also said it would be really helpful to put a page break at the end of the data, because it just made it a little hard to toggle from where we were typing our answers to the reflection questions and going back to look at the data. So if there was a, you know, just so even when you print it to sit down with your leadership team, it's separated so you can look at both at the same time. We also really liked the action plan, the questions, especially like what's, excuse me, would yield the greatest impact. What we're just breaking down our successes by next week, next month, next year, and then thinking about who we can partner with are sometimes not things that we typically go to think about. And so just having those there were good memory joggers. We also liked the check boxes for the P-cell connections, because sometimes even when we're making our own growth plans, we can get a little bogged down in that. And so that's a great helpful tool to keep going back and reviewing. But overall, we thought this was definitely something we would sit down and use with our leadership teams at our schools.
Thank you so much, Ms. Williams. That is very thoughtful feedback. And I can see already wheels rolling here, thinking about, yes, we're going to do this. We're going to make this suggestion. We're going to follow up with that. So thank you very much. Another group.
We talked in room 2, I believe, again, with the questions being in the aligning, kind of like the last group talked about, them being in the same order. We talked about where it says, the realm of your control or the influence you have, maybe ironing out what should we consider a 0, a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. My 3 may look a little bit different than somebody else's 3. We also talked about maybe some of the areas having a bigger space for notes. And really that was it. We thought it was a really good starting point to give principals guidance on how to look at this data.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hood. Appreciate that feedback. Another group?
I can talk on behalf of the group one since I took the notes. We basically overall, talking about time, we thought the time was reasonable, but we also talked about depending on if schools had really dug into their data, there might need to be some adjustments on that. There was discussion about opportunities for longitudinal data opportunities to look over time. We also talked about adding district percentages to view, especially if you're in a larger district, to not just look at the state, but also your district percentages. Talking about communication, there was discussion about how you could share this with your leadership team for goal setting as well as professional growth plans. We also made mention about transparency being important and sharing with the staff that this was not just something they took, but something that was valued and heard, that could lead to better discussions and future success of schools overall. There was a discussion about possibly piloting it with additional principals just to get some more feedback before going statewide with this tool. But overall, it was very favorable.
Thank you so much, Ms. Kirk. Appreciate that feedback from your group. And lastly, do we have one more group like to share?
I can do group 3 since I was the note taker in that. We had a good discussion about the first question. We thought that first of all, the time frame to complete that task, we thought that was a good time frame. We also thought it was a great task to complete. We kind of said what another group had said about if the paper, the form was in the same alignment as the online survey in the sense of categories. We thought that, the survey is a great way to track trends over time. I think like if you do this, if we do it every 2 years, to take that sheet, compare it to the next sheet, compare it to the next sheet, which we should be doing. I think it's very valuable, especially when you have staffing turnover, there's changes in the workplace, et cetera. It's good data to look at. And then we said that on the third question, the structured design tool, we liked it, but we thought maybe there was something we could do differently about the thoughts to consider section. It may not be as user-friendly, and maybe make that a little cleaner. Sometimes like you're editing the box, it shifts things around. Maybe possibly put that in a Google Sheets format or a different type of format that makes it just a tad user-friendly, but overall, love the tool.
Okay. Thank you so very much. Appreciate that thoughtful feedback. And you all have given the P3 team a lot to consider and some opportunities to make this tool even better. So thank you all for taking the time. Ms. Howard, did you have a thought?
Yes, I did. And it didn't occur to me while we were talking about it. I'm listening to what everybody said, and I just had a thought. The panorama tool gives you that percentage for the quite a bit and the tremendous amount, or, the 2 highest categories. Is it possible to put like another column where we can put the percentage of that middle column? So, because thinking about it, I'm like, that would help setting goals, because you're like, okay, we've got some people who are almost there, but not quite. And that percentage maybe being next to the other one says, okay, wait, we can increase our green by this much if we really focus on this area, and we really only have, you know, 2 people who are just like feeling not at, I don't know, it might help people set goals if that other number, I guess the number 3 in the 5 points, if the number 3, there was a space for us to put that next to the main one and go, okay, this is how close we are to getting our number up. I don't know, did that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Almost just a bit more intentionality on where you might be able to focus so that you can see um, greater gains. Yeah. Love that idea.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing. All right. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we are continuing this this offer for help, technical assistance, interpreting the data, sharing the good news, and that actually comes from Ellie Gilbert. She's the key person at KDE who has asked us to share her email with you all as you're working with Impact Kentucky survey data. If you have any issue, if you need any clarification about something, if you would like to be perhaps a school that they spotlight for maybe a tremendous amount of growth in a particular area or topic. She encouraged us to ask you all to reach out to her, and you can see we've got her email there as well. We wanted to share with you that there are a couple of training sessions for district and school leaders, and you'll notice that we've got session 1 on Tuesday, March the 17th, and then session 2 is Thursday, March the 19th. And while it says session 1 and session 2, that is just indicating that it's a repeat session. So it's not different content for each of those dates, but it's a repeat session. So if you're interested, you got that registration link, and would encourage you to take advantage of it. Panorama is the entity that will be leading that too. So that'll probably be really good. All right. So we've made our way now to item 8, and I'm jumping in here, Mr. Ross, but I see my colleague Keith. He's just, he's ready to go here. He wants to get some feedback. So Keith, I'm gonna let you take over.
Wonderful.
Well, thank you. I appreciate the time. Thank you, principals, for indulging me for just a few minutes. I'm going to put in the chat a link to the EdCamp grid. I hope that all of you were able to attend EdCamp this year. We generally have EdCamp on the 2nd Wednesday of January, and that's been going on since COVID. So we had it a couple years in person to start out, and then the next 8 years have all been online, and it's been that same date since 2019. And so there was some feedback. You know, we had one year, I think it was 3 years ago, where the whole state was on a snow day on EdCamp Day, and we had like 350 people registered. And then it was a snow day, and so word kind of spread, hey, there's this opportunity. If you're on a snow day, you want to join this EdCamp conference, you can still hop on. And we ended up with like 650 principals and assistant principals that came to EdCamp, which is a virtual event that day. And so we've been thinking about, you know, how we have this structured, and I just wanted to bring it to the PrAC group to get some advice and guidance. We're thinking about moving it from the 2nd Wednesday in January to the very beginning of winter break. And so it would be on a day when the vast majority of schools in Kentucky are out for winter break. So next year, that would be like December the 21st or December the 22nd. Most principals are still working during that period of time, as far as my experience has been. But I wanted to bring that to your attention and get some feedback on the date. So if you had the choice to attend a virtual conference, would you prefer for it to continue to stay on the 2nd Wednesday of January, or would you prefer it to be on the 1st or 2nd day of your winter break? And I guess my question is, are your districts requiring you to do specific tasks on those first couple days of winter break that would make it even harder for you to attend something like this virtual conference. And hopefully you were able to get access to EdCamp Grid through that link, and you can see kind of how the day is mapped out, all of the things that were presented this year, the topics that were presented, and how the day kind of flowed. And so you can come and get 3 hours of ELA credit. If you just stay half of the day and attend 3 or 4 sessions, you can pick and choose which one you want to go to. You can go back and forth in and out of EdCamp. If you want to get 6 hours EdCamp credit, you stay the whole day. So there is some flexibility there. People seem to like that flexibility to be able to pick out the sessions they want to attend and just pop in when those are going on, and then still be able to run their building the remainder of the day. I see we've got one pop in the chat. If you would also pop in the chat what your preference would be on the date for EdCamp, I would love your feedback. I'm going to ask several groups this same question, the folks who attended last year and the presenters, especially from last year. So pop in that chat if you would, what your thoughts are, and I would appreciate that very much. And then the second thing that I was wanting to get your feedback on as you look through EdCamp Grid, we also have the Kentucky Principal Network. And if you're not a part of that yet, let me pop that into the chat as well, so that you can learn more about the Kentucky Principal Network. This is a 2 years. This is the second year for the Kentucky Principal Network, and the P3 team partnered with all 8 cooperatives so that we could offer a statewide networking opportunity. We've copied this off of the school counselors statewide group. It's kind of the same idea. We meet 4 times a year, and it's just in the morning. Principals come together, and it's kind of a mini seminar kind of a thing where we have the same, 3 different presenters, but there are also 3 breakout rooms that folks can go into to talk about whatever the topic is that is being discussed that day. And so as you look through the EdCamp Grid, and if you want to take a look at the Principal Network as well, we're looking to hit on topics that are timely throughout the year for these sessions, and things that are important to you as sitting principals in the field. And so feel free to also put that in the chat, or I'm going to put my email in here. And if you have a topic that you feel like would be a great topic to hear about, or one that you would like to present about to the rest of the state during one of these conferences, I would love to hear your feedback on that. And I know Stacy is also going to be talking to you about dates as you talk about PrAC dates for next year as well. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate your feedback very much. Drop something in the chat or drop me an email. I would really appreciate on those topics. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Keith. All right, since my name's on this next one, Mr. Ross, I'll just go ahead and take off with it. Item 9, PrAC meeting dates for 26-27. And so what we've got are some proposed dates, and we tried to do the dates for next year on different days of the week. In the past, principals have requested that we do different days of the week for each quarter, just because sometimes different districts have like a standing meeting that they have to attend on Monday morning. So that's why that you can see here that we've intentionally put in different days of the week. But one thing that we wanted to ask about is our December meeting date. And the reason we're bringing this to the group is because December is basically, it's always our lowest attended PrAC meeting. And recognizing that December is very, very busy in schools, it's a short month. We wanted to perhaps propose or think about maybe doing our PrAC meeting on one of those opening days of the winter break. If you all do, if you don't think that's a good idea, totally okay with that. Our month of December is pretty wide open. The P3 team does not do any type of training during December. We've learned that training during December, it's not well attended either. So we're pretty open for the month of December. But I wanted to ask the group if, the 21st or 22nd would be something that you all would like. Last year, the meeting was on December the 10th, so kind of that second week of December. But very open to your thoughts, your comments, your feedback around a good December date. Any strong opinions?
I think the earlier the better, in my opinion. As we get toward the end, you have just all the things. At the elementary level, you're going to start seeing programs and the parties and just all the things, and just the stamina hits, and folks are just ready to get out. So for me, the first week would be, if that's possible, would be probably the most ideal scenario. But I understand December in of itself is tough.
Okay. Yes, that's a good point. Earlier the better. First week of December. Okay. All right. So I see those responses. All right. Well, we will get us a day early in December. As you look at the other dates, September 30th, March 23rd, June 10th, is there anything that strikes you about those dates that we've not thought about? Like, a certain event or testing or conference or something might be in conflict with the September, March, and June dates? Okay, well, we'll hold on to those. And if something comes up that you think about that's a scheduling conflict that might impact everybody or a lot of the group, please reach out and let me know. This joint book project, Dr. Sullivan's already shared. So that takes us to item 11, and I'll turn it back over to our chairperson, Mr. Ross.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure to preside over the meeting today. I hope that everyone has gained some valuable information that you can take back. I want to charge everyone to please think about your colleagues within your district, or those principals that are close to you that you have conversations with. Feel free to share the content from the meeting. I think it's important that we try to kind of evangelize, if you will, the information that we got, not just kind of gatekeep it. But as a member of the PrAC, we also are relying on you to share and be a voice for those other principals. So getting their feedback and reporting back is always acceptable. Okay. We have a new little portion of our meeting that we're going to be adding in, and it's something that, if we don't do it this way, it won't get done, and as it hasn't been. So there's a feedback form that has been a part of this process for forever, and we've generally said we're going to adjourn the meeting and, hey, do that feedback form and get it back to us. And as soon as we log off of this meeting, we're going to lunch duty or going to do an observation or get that email done or go use the restroom. And so we're going to take just a few moments right now and provide some feedback so that the P3 team can have that and know. Also, so that the commissioner and the board are aware of the impact that this committee is having, and a need and the necessity to keep it going, because as we are viewing for accreditation and whatnot, there needs to be a mechanism to say what we're doing is working or not. And so we definitely want to do that. So I'm gonna be quiet and give everybody a few moments to get that feedback form open and just jot down a few thoughts there for us. And then I'll come back on and we can adjourn. Okay, I know that individuals type at different speeds, but at least the feedback form should be up on everyone's desktop. So I think we've got a much better chance of a return. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to adjourn. If you will come off mute and state your name for me.
Motion to adjourn, Liz Kirk.
Is there a second?
Second, Jamaica Howard.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Any questions or anything for the good of the order? Seeing none, all in favor? Please use the chat to signify your vote. I believe we have approval. Any opposed? All right, consider our meeting adjourned at this time. Thank you so much for participating. You can see that our upcoming meeting, June 9th, there. Thank you all so much.